All right, welcome back to a Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shellady, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for joining us here today. If you've been with us all day, that's great too. Let's get everybody up to date. That's great English. Up to date on these corn prices. Let's bring up that corn board and see what we've got going on for us here. Well, we're off here by 3 cents, right? We keep bleeding a little lower every time we check in with this. 4.93 and a quarter's last in Dees. That's only at 2 1/4 cents off the lows. We're down 3 cents off the day for the day, and we've had an 8.5 cent range. So for about 2 1/4 cents off the lows with an 8.5% range, that'll kind of give you that picture. We're just trading heavy. What is it gonna take to get corn going? Soybeans. This too is lower, 11 1/4 cents lower than that Nov bean contract. Novi's new crop is down 13.94.5. Now, when I started this segment halfway through the day, this is trading just over $14. So we've lost 6 cents as I've sat here. 13.94 3/4 is last 2 3/4 cents off of the lows. And we've got about a 13 cent range. So that'll give you an idea about what's been happening in beans. Both corn and beans trading heavy. Chicago wheat, heavier. 14 1/4 cents lower in that D's contract. 602 3/4 is last 1 3/4 cents off the lows of a 17 1/4 cent range. That's going to explain the wheat market for you. That's in Chicago. We're off anywhere between, 11.5 to 15 cents in the front 4 contracts there. If we move over to the hard red in Kansas City, that too is lower by 17.5 cents in that D's contract. 732 1/4 is last, 2 cents off the lows of what? So like a 19 cent range, 2 cents off the lows of a 19 cent range will give you an idea. 17.5 cents lower. That's the D's. We're off between 11 and 18 cents across the board when it comes to the hard red in Kansas City. Let's move up to Minneapolis. Do we have anything better there? Well, it's not off as much, right? 3 3/4 cents lower in the D's contract. 787 3/4 is last. 2 3/4 cents off the lows of a 10 cent range. So that'll give you an idea about what spring wheat's got in store for us. Cotton's been very quiet. Let's see what that's got going for us. So quiet, it's only up 4 points. 86.91 is last in that D's cotton contract. Let's get back to our guest analyst, or bring him on in for the first go-round here. That's going to be Tommy Grisafi. He's with Advanced Trading in Valparaiso, Indiana. Tommy, thanks for tuning us in and being on with us today. All right, anything jump out at you? Hey, let me ask you a question.
Are you going to ask me a question and answer it?
Yeah, maybe.
I like that.
How much lower would we be if we weren't hot and dry?
A lot. Great question. In all seriousness, we had Stats Canada this morning, was on my notes to talk about. And so there's a reason D's oats are trading 20 cents above D's corn. And Stats Canada said that the wheat crop will be 14% smaller. They had some bad weather up there. But what if they wouldn't have? Like, what if they would have had good weather? What if it was raining and 85 degrees every day here? We are definitely losing bushels. We are not producing a bunch more corn bushels here the last few weeks of August, or beans. So to your point, the corn market has such a better chance that it's already made and what's done's done, although we could be definitely going back when it comes to test weight. Your point, if it was not hot and dry, and we're going to throw some 100-degree temps here in Iowa on around Friday, Saturday, Sunday with zero rain. So every day I have about 5 cities I look at on the weather map in Iowa, and it's not a good sign for beans. And that's why we're $14 beans. That's why the bean to corn ratio is as wide as it is. And there's really nothing anyone can do. You can't plant less beans and plant more corn, or vice versa. And it's very interesting. It's helping the farmers, but it should scare the heck out of you that we're only $4.95 corn, even with this hot, dry weather. Yeah. So that was a great question, Scott. Seriously.
Next one is that I came in this morning and it's perverse to me how the market sells off on news that's not as bad as it could have been, right? They were expecting a much bigger degradation in these corn and beans than they got overnight, and it's almost like they threw their toys out of the pram because it wasn't worse than it was supposed to be.
I was a little shocked that beans were only down 1-2%, especially with all the fields I walked in Iowa and Illinois last week. But I will say this: if you have an opinion on the market, it can't be hourly. If you really have a long-term opinion that beans are going much higher, or corn's undervalued, or wheat just made new contract lows, that's a fact. If you have a long-term opinion on wheat, then these would be good buying days. But overall, I will tell you the one thing that's shocking me more than anything, and you'll probably talk about this on Cow Guy and other shows. Look at gold, look at silver, look at the stock market. Look at the dollar. Look at the outside markets. Bitcoin up 2,000. Not that Bitcoin has any doggone thing to do with corn or beans or wheat, but like as far as the risk on is happening in every other market right now except for grains. And
Right.
grains are a very tired trade right now, Scott.
I agree. What's it going to take? All right, stay right there. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Mr. Tommy Grisafi, Advanced Trading in Valparaiso, Indiana. We'll be right back after this. All right, here we go. Buckle up. Let's take a look at, and I say that facetiously because there's not a lot going on, but let's take a look at what's happening in these livestock markets. Live cattle, what do we got going on there in Chicago? Well, it's down about 20 cents in October. 181.35 is last there. 60 cents off the highs and not too far from the lows by about 50 cents. So that's right in the middle of the day's range. We're off between, say, a nickel to, 37 cents across the board when it comes October out to April. Not a lot going on in live cattle. Have we lost anything in the feeders? We've had a couple of them turn lower here. October's down 30 cents. It used to be a little bit better, but we're all still hanging around that unchanged line. 256.72 is last in October, and that's in the middle of the day's range as well. And we've had, about a $1.50 range over there. And that'll give you an idea about what's been happening in the feeders. Just giving back a little bit of real estate after yesterday's decent day. Lean hogs, they're lower there by $1.05 lower actually in October. Spot 80 is last there, and that's only about 25 cents off the low. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you. Let's bring in Tommy Grisafi to see what he's got to say about any of these livestock markets. Tommy, thanks for coming back on. All right. Good day yesterday. Kind of giving back a little bit of real estate today, but not bad.
Yeah, there's a whole group of people who like to buy live cattle and feeder cattle on dips, and it's been working. The hog market's chopping back and forth, not really impressed with anything there, but there's a bunch of people who understand the math of what's happening in cattle and are scared out of their mind to be short or hedged. And maybe we do have a down swoop, but you see how the stock market's doing and everything else. This heat wave that we had last week and this heat wave we're going to have the next 10 days, that's going to hurt the cattle. There are going to be more cattle that die, and it's putting a tremendous amount of stress on the herd. We'll see how these numbers end up, but these are tight numbers already. Like I spoke to you about earlier in the segment, if you have a view on cattle, have it for multiple months, not multiple hours. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, well, I think you're right, and it's fundamentally it's still pretty strong. And like I said, a few other guests, I don't think it's going to be the fundamentals that rolls cattle over. I think ultimately, if we do see some sort of calamity in the outside markets that pressures that market lower, I think that's what it will be. But anyway, that's what makes a market, and it's fun to talk about. I appreciate you coming on. Always great content. Tommy Grisafi is with Advanced Trading, coming at us from Valparaiso, Indiana. We'll bring it back here to Nashville and throw it back over to you, Suzanne.